There is a tree that can heal your gut and feed your family for life, using only a small patch of sun in your backyard. Gram for gram, its leaves contain more vitamin C than 7 oranges, more vitamin A than 4 carrots, more calcium than 4 glasses of milk, and more protein than 2 cups of yogurt. For over 4,000 years, Ayurvedic masters used this plant for hundreds of different ailments. While ancient Egyptians considered its oil so sacred they buried it with their pharaohs to nourish them in the afterlife. Today, in parts of the United States, it's officially classified as a high invasion risk, a biological pest you are actively discouraged from planting. This plant wasn't reclassified because it's harmful, it was reclassified because it is dangerously self sufficient. A plant that cannot be patented, cannot be controlled, and cannot generate recurring profit is a threat to the system that depends on your sickness. Before I show you its name and the documents that prove this, if you believe this knowledge is worth protecting, subscribe now. It ensures these stories don't get buried again. This plant is known as Morina, though for millennia it carried names that sound more like prayers: the tree of life, the miracle tree, Shigru, the arrow that pierces disease. Today, in parts of the United States, it has a very different name, a cold, bureaucratic label: high invasion risk. This change wasn't an accident or a simple reevaluation of ecological data. It was a deliberate reframing of a solution into a problem. The act of turning a gift of nature into a perceived threat wasn't a mistake. It was a strategy, and the evidence has been hiding in plain sight. To understand why a plant that heals would be treated like a pest, you don't need a degree in botany. You only need to follow the economic incentives. A single tree that can address the root causes of gastritis and ulcers, growing for free in your backyard, is an existential threat to a $25 billion industry built on selling pills that only manage symptoms. A complete food source that requires no packaging, no processing, and no supermarket completely short circuits an industrial food system that profits first from making you sick and then from selling you the supposed cures. The suppression wasn't loud or violent. There was no dramatic campaign to demonize it. It was quiet, almost invisible, executed with paperwork and the clinical language of science. The very qualities that make Morina a miracle for humanity: its rapid growth, its incredible resilience in poor soil, its ability to spread life and nutrition wherever it goes, were expertly reframed as ecological dangers. Words like aggressive and outcompetes native flora were used to turn an asset for survival into a liability for the ecosystem, a subtle shift in language that serves a very specific purpose. This modern classification is a stunning reversal of 4,000 years of human history, a complete inversion of a truth understood by virtually every great ancient civilization. For millennia, this tree wasn't just tolerated, it was revered, it was cultivated, it was placed at the very center of both medicine and nutrition. To truly grasp the scale of what has been lost, and what is being deliberately obscured from you right now, we have to travel back to the beginning, to the ancient Ayurvedic masters in the foothills of the Himalayas who first unlocked its incredible secrets. Our journey begins 4,000 years ago, not in a sterile laboratory, but in the foothills of the Himalayas, where the first Ayurvedic masters documented a tree they called Shigru, a name meaning arrow for its ability to pierce deep into the body and target the root of disease. In their foundational texts, like the Sushruta Samhita, they described its power to treat conditions they called gulma, shodha, and creamy. They're ancient terms for the abdominal inflammation, pathogens, and parasitic infections that plague our modern guts. They understood something profound: that this single plant could both cleanse the afflicted and nourish the weak. This sacred knowledge didn't remain hidden in the mountains. It traveled down the rivers and across the deserts, finding a new home along the Nile around 1400 BC. The ancient Egyptians cultivated morina not just for life, but for the afterlife. They extracted its precious ben oil, a substance so stable and pure they used it as a skin protectant against the brutal desert sun, a base for their most exotic perfumes, and as a sacred offering. Archaeologists have found sealed vases of this very oil inside the tombs of pharaohs, placed there to nourish their kings on their eternal journey. From the sands of Egypt, the tree's reputation traveled on ships and caravans, reaching the intellectual centers of the Greco-Roman world. The Roman historian and naturalist Pliny the Elder documented the tree and its valuable oil in his comprehensive encyclopedia, Naturalis Historia. He noted that the finest oil was imported from Egypt and Arabia, used by the Roman elite not as a folk remedy, but as a luxury good, a clear, odorless oil prized for use in their salads and sophisticated cosmetic preparations. The most powerful empire on earth recognized its value, not through superstition, but through observation and trade. But the true power of this tree wasn't just for pharaohs and emperors, it was for the people. As it spread with traders and migrating tribes, it wove itself into the fabric of survival across the globe. In Africa, it became known as mother's best friend, a critical source of nutrition that could increase the milk supply of lactating women and save children from malnutrition. In the Philippines, it became malunggay, a staple ingredient in soups made to restore the strength of new mothers. In every culture it touched, it wasn't a supplement. It was a cornerstone of the entire food and healthcare system. Consider this for a moment. Ancient India, pharaonic Egypt, imperial Rome, tribal Africa, and island nations in Southeast Asia. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, with different languages, different gods, and different sciences, all independently arrived at the exact same conclusion about this one plant. This was not coincidence. It was a recurring pattern of human experience, a universal truth about health and survival tested for over 4 millennia. This was the pharmacy growing in the garden, a gift that was understood and revered by everyone, until now. For 4,000 years, the evidence was purely observational. It worked because generations of mothers, healers, and Ayurvedic masters saw that it worked. But in the 21st century, that's not enough, so scientists began taking it into the lab. And what they found wasn't just a confirmation of ancient wisdom, it was a profound revelation of nature's intelligence. They discovered a plant that doesn't just contain nutrients, it deploys a coordinated biochemical strategy to restore the gut, a strategy so sophisticated it makes our most advanced pharmaceuticals look clumsy by comparison. The ancient arrow of Shigru was finally being examined under a microscope. Modern analysis has revealed that Moringa leaves are a living pharmacy, containing a symphony of bioactive compounds that work together to calm an inflamed gut. The key players are isothiocyanates like moringin, potent anti-inflammatory agents that a 2016 study in the Journal of Functional Foods found can suppress the very same inflammatory markers targeted by prescription drugs. These are supported by powerful antioxidants like quercetin, camphorol, and chlorogenic acid, which protect the delicate gut lining from the oxidative stress that leads to conditions like gastritis and leaky gut syndrome, providing a shield at the cellular level. The ancient texts spoke of its power against creamy, their word for pathogens and parasites, and modern science has identified the weapon. Studies have shown moringa contains a compound called pterigospermin, which has significant antimicrobial properties. A pivotal 2010 study from the University of Lahore confirmed that a simple water extract of moringa leaves could strongly inhibit the growth of Helicobacter pylori, the very bacteria now known to be the primary cause of most stomach ulcers. The Ayurvedic masters didn't need to see the bacteria, they just needed to see the results. But the plant's genius doesn't stop at just eliminating threats. It actively rebuilds the ecosystem of the gut. The leaves are rich in prebiotic fibers, which aren't digested by you, but instead serve as the perfect food for your beneficial gut bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. As these allies feast on the fibers, they produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, a critical substance that serves as the primary fuel for the cells lining your colon. This process helps heal the gut barrier, reduce intestinal permeability, and regulate the local immune system, building a stronger foundation for long-term health. So when you look at the modern data, you see the full picture. It's not just a plant with more vitamin C than an orange or more iron than spinach. It's a complete therapeutic system. It actively removes harmful pathogens. It powerfully calms chronic inflammation. It protects the gut lining from damage, and it nourishes the beneficial bacteria essential for healing. This isn't a random collection of benefits. It's an intelligent, multi-pronged solution that addresses the root causes of digestive illness. And with this level of scientific validation, the question becomes unavoidable. Why is this not in every hospital? The answer to that question is as simple as it is infuriating. You follow the money. A single plant that you can grow for free in your backyard, a plant that can address the root causes of digestive illness, is an existential threat to a system that generates over $25 billion a year selling pills that only manage the symptoms. Morina cannot be patented, it cannot be controlled by a corporation, and it cannot generate recurring monthly profits from a dependent customer. In our modern world, a true cure that grows on a tree is not seen as a gift. It's seen as a catastrophic market disruption. The suppression wasn't loud or violent. It was quiet, bureaucratic, and executed with the clinical precision of a regulatory memo. The turning point can be traced to documents like the 2018 assessment from the University of Florida's EFOS program, which officially labeled Morina with a high invasion risk. The very qualities that make it a miracle for humanity, its rapid growth, its incredible resilience in poor soil, its ability to spread life and nutrition, were expertly reframed as ecological dangers. Words like aggressive and outcompetes native flora were used to turn a tool for survival into a liability for the ecosystem. This reframing serves three powerful industries at once. First, the pharmaceutical giants who need you to keep buying their proton pump inhibitors indefinitely. Second, the industrial food system that profits from selling nutrient-poor processed foods and then selling you the fortified products and supplements to fix the problems it created. And third, the agricultural corporations that sell patented seeds and chemicals, who have no financial interest in a perennial tree that thrives without their products and feeds a family for decades. It's a perfect alignment of economic incentives against your self-sufficiency. This strategy creates a deeply manipulative false choice in your mind. It pits your personal health against a sense of ecological responsibility. The narrative suggests that by planting this tree to heal your gut, you are somehow harming the planet. This completely ignores the far greater ecological devastation caused by the very industrial agriculture and pharmaceutical manufacturing that Morina could replace. They make you feel guilty for choosing a natural, free solution, steering you back towards the products that keep their systems profitable, a brilliant and subtle form of psychological control. The result is the Great Replacement, an inferior system that costs you more and delivers far less. Instead of a living plant that heals the root cause of inflammation, you are offered a lifetime dependency on pills with a growing list of side effects, from kidney disease to nutrient deficiencies. Instead of a complete food source packed with synergistic nutrients, you are sold an endless array of isolated vitamins in plastic bottles, a pale imitation of the whole plant's intelligence. We traded a simple, integrated solution from the garden for a complex and profitable problem from the pharmacy. This isn't just the story of one tree, it's the story of a pattern, a blueprint for how any natural, unpatentable solution is systematically marginalized. Anything that empowers you to be independent, anything that grows freely, anything that disrupts a recurring revenue model will inevitably be relabeled as dangerous, unscientific, or irresponsible. The story of Morina is a key that unlocks a much larger door, revealing a system that doesn't just misunderstand nature, but is actively at war with it. And once you see this pattern, you begin to see it everywhere. The official documents may call it a risk, a threat, an invader, but 4,000 years of human history call it a solution. This knowledge was never truly erased by a memo. It was simply pushed to the margins, surviving not in corporate research labs, but in the gardens of grandmothers in the Philippines, in the community markets of Nigeria, and in the quiet wisdom of families who never forgot. It's a truth that has been waiting patiently in the soil, ready to be rediscovered by those willing to look past the warning labels and see the life being offered. Now this knowledge belongs to you, and it's more than just information about a plant. It's a tool of independence. Every seed you might plant, every spoonful of powder you might add to your diet, is a quiet declaration that your health is not for sale. Sharing this story isn't just about a video. It's about passing on a key, ensuring that this ancestral pharmacy remains open for the next generation. Each person who learns this truth is one less person who can be controlled by a system that profits from their dependence and fears their self-sufficiency. Your journey can begin simply by searching for organic Morina powder at a local health store or finding a small sapling from a specialty nursery online. Start small, listen to your body, and witness for yourself what generations have known for millennia. If you believe this kind of knowledge is a birthright, not a commodity, then subscribe to this channel and share this video with one person you care about. By doing so, you help build an archive of rediscovered wisdom, a library of solutions that can never be buried by bureaucracy again. They can label it, regulate it, and discourage it, but they cannot change what it is, and they cannot erase 4,000 years of history with a single document. The system has spent decades selling you complicated solutions in expensive bottles for problems that started when we became disconnected from the earth. But the truth is often simple, and it has been here all along, waiting patiently in the soil. Remember this always. The most ancient pharmacy in the world doesn't have shelves, it has roots.